And we're live. I was just reading your college career like Wikipedia section.
Oh
What's
no.
it like being a big time athlete at a big time sports school? I saw you had some success, then you had some hardships. You had like you got the full range of the experience.
Agreed.
On campus, are they like just praising you constantly? Are they critical of you? Or are you just showered in love and attention? What's the experience?
Right. It's up and down, and there's a lot of different experiences people have because you're fighting so many different waves of thought. So a lot of people think, oh, you get it easy because you're an athlete, but because of that stigma, there were definitely professors and faculty who made it harder on you because you were an athlete, and they felt that you were getting a shot that you wouldn't necessarily get if you didn't play a sport. And then with that your peers student body, I mean it's kind of a little bit of the same, but you get a lot more love because they're a lot more liberal thinking. Well, I don't say liberal, but they're a lot more loose in their thinking of why you're there. As far as the institute, I was a little bit off brand in college as well because I felt like we were getting fucked royally, and that was always in the back of my head, and I kind of let that fester
By
in
who? By the
the NCAA.
professors? The NCAA. Okay.
NCAA. So I'm an advocate for paying collegiate
Oh,
athletes.
okay.
It's a billion dollar business, and they take in all the profits, and they say, well, you're getting a free education, and that's what you should be
But
happy
that's not
with.
your
And I'm
market
saying
value.
it's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
And we all love capitalism until it's time to pay the employees, right? And it's probably the only billion-dollar business where the interns are the product, right? And so that all that's going on, and I like my coaches are pulling up in Lexuses, and they have these they have these homes, these $100,000 homes, $1 million homes, and they invite us to go eat um, for different celebrations or whatever. And I'm just looking, and it's like a lot of guys are like happy to be there. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like disgusted. And I'm like, you made this off the backs of 18-year-olds, right? And granted, I'm a little different than most guys in that respect. But so for the most part, on the to answer your question, on college campus, I got a mixed bag. I enjoyed a lot of it, but then I hated a lot of it because of that aspect. I hated the leverage that coaches had on you and your future. I hated the facade of an education that we got. I couldn't study the courses that I wanted to study because I wanted to take astronomy, but those courses conflicted with my football schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and so I couldn't take those courses. So I ended up settling for philosophy. So I was a philosophy major, and even then, by the time I picked my major, by the time I knew I was gonna focus on football and not my studies, like you're just kind of disinterested in the whole, like I said, facade of academia that you're there for. So it was like a mixed bag of things. On
How
top of
was
the
the
pressure,
celebrity? Like that must be you're young to handle celebrity as a
right.
college athlete.
I mean, it's fun at first, I gonna lie. So you're 18, 19 years old and people know who you are. You're walking through the mall. Of course, the female aspect of it definitely took advantage of that in college. Didn't get herpes. Think. But it's something that if you're not grounded, it can get the best of you. And I saw it get the best of some guys to where they really start believing the hype. I always knew it was a facade because like you don't really like me. You just like the way I run around, and it's very fickle.
Yeah, if I weren't good at this game, you wouldn't know who I was or care.
Yeah, and I knew that, but I took advantage of the opportunities that I had because of it. But I just knew it wasn't there was no longevity in it. The fame was gonna fizzle out eventually.
So what's the fix for NCAA then? Like, I mean, I've never heard anything about them actually paying students, so I doubt that's on the horizon. But you know, what is the fix in your mind to make it more fair?
I think you pay the athletes, and I think there's economists and scholars who can argue back and forth on how we distribute the wealth fairly, but there definitely has to be a system set up where those kids are getting paid somehow. And if not, like if you look at if say whoever the most popular college kid, and I think Baker Mayfield just won the Heisman Trophy. And this is really the first year I've ever watched college. Not ever, but I've watched college football since I've been in the league. I just kind of started being a fan of football again this year. But Baker Mayfield he won the Heisman Trophy, I believe. But if he wanted to go, and he's in college. He wanted to go get $30 per signature. If somebody wanted to pay him $30 to sign a football helmet, he couldn't do that. That's breaking NCAA rules, and they're going to revoke his rights to play in the NCAA. Like, that's bullshit. You're actually taking away his constitutional rights for this amateurism clause that you made. Like, why are they amateurs? Because we don't pay them. Why don't we pay them? Because they're amateurs. It's this circular reasoning that they use, which just has no logic and no weight, and it's branding. People buy it because that's just what they've been told for years. But it's
tricky though, right? That would impact recruiting in a big way. Like say I'm at a well-funded school like Tennessee, Suddenly it's like, you come here, I'll get you a summer job at a car dealership that you don't have to go to, that pays $250,000 a summer. and now that's the way you recruit players, by paying them in sneaky ways through boosters and such. And I guess what's the harm? I don't know.
It's not sneaky though. It's only sneaky because you've been sold that bill of goods that it's illegal to pay athletes. But if it's not sneaky, if when I came out in the NFL, I lead the NFL in Russia, and then I go sign a shoe deal for $200,000, right? Mm-hmm. So if I have $200,000, you don't find that sneaky, but you find it sneaky for a college athlete to do it, only because they've set up those rules. It's not sneaky at all. It's capitalism, and that's why I always tell people, either you like capitalism and the system we live in, or you don't. It doesn't matter how old these kids are. Like if I was to work out at Wendy's at a high school, and those kids weren't getting paid for their jobs, you'd have an issue with that. But because these kids are college athletes, people have issues with that.
I hear you. I wish I hadn't chosen that adjective. It would change college sports a lot.
It would.
Like, the bigger would get bigger, right? The people who have the boosters now would be the successful ones. It'd be worse than the NBA, and parity would be totally gone, right? Like this year, UCF has this oddball shot to go undefeated and have a really good season and crown themselves unofficial national champs or whatever. That UCF wouldn't have a shot because all those players would go to USC and I don't know, the states with them, Alabama and LSU, and the place with these giant boosters. No one would go to UCF. And there'd be no parity.
Just like out of college, you go to the job opportunity that gets you the most money. We just have to stop treating this like it's not a business, right? You have no problem with the IT guy coming out of a major engineering school or whatever, and going to Apple or going to Google. That's what the best jobs are. So what's wrong with the kid going to USC because he's going to get $200,000 on the side of him playing football?
I'm not coming at it from like a good versus bad, more of a I kind of like sports parity a little bit. Like the NBA has ways that like the worst team gets the best chance at a good draft pick.
And this is what you're 100% right? But this is the crux of why people don't want to pay college athletes. It's because they're not comfortable with it. I'm not comfortable with it not having an even playing field and all these players getting paid, because then that will skew how recruiting is. Then that's skewing how it will change the product 100%. And people don't want their product changed because they don't like that product getting paid. But what it is a farm club, and people don't want to call it a farm club, but it's 100% a farm club.
It's like an NFL minor league.
That's all it is. It's a minor league, but people don't want to treat it like that because we're just living in this pretend guise of, they're amateurs. And that, like, it's just like you said, I understand that notion that, I don't want the integrity of the game. It's like, but that integrity, it's been gone. Like, these kids want to get paid, man. Like as a kid growing up in the projects, all I wanted to do was feed my family. And I did that. But like to pretend that like I have this school pride, like I want to win for fucking coach whoever, like it's bullshit. Nobody, like, they want to get paid. They want to take care of their family.
So when you made when you first made a lot of money in the NFL, was there a splurge purchase that you made? Was there anything where you were like, you know what, I'm going to buy a $500 pair of sneakers, or I'm going to buy a $80,000 sports car? Like, was there a splurge moment? Like maybe it was something small. Maybe it was like, a lady won the lottery who lived near me, and her splurge, it's not too crazy, but she got every single member of her family, and every one of them got a shopping cart at Walmart, which sounds like low end, right? But these are low income people, and it's like, no, every kid gets a shopping cart. Fill it up. Do whatever you want. Toys, video games, go hog wild. Like 25 members of a family.
Money orders. Yeah. That would be what I would do.
That's hilarious. Fill up a shopping cart with money orders.
Yeah. She won $5 billion.
All five will fit in that cart.
Oh,
He said 05.
he's gonna be owing me some.
Ironically, man, I was never that guy. So I know it sounds super lame, but I really wasn't. The only thing that I did splurge on was like this shit that you see in here. So I got these folk house speakers, like this mic, this piano back here is it's a motif. So I did things like to fulfill me. So it wasn't necessarily a splurge. Like I hate cars. I'm not a car guy. I've had the same car since I got in the league. Still, I don't buy cars. I wish I didn't have to have a car.
What car is it?
It's it was so I it's funny. So until let's see, so 2000. So when I went undrafted, I had to have some kind of vehicle. So my business manager flew down, and I didn't know how to rent a vehicle. I didn't know how to rent an apartment. I was wet behind the ears, and so we got me a 2007 or 6 Dodge Charger, and so I drove that until 2011. In 2011, I got a truck from we leased it. We didn't lease it. It was an exchange. So I did autograph signings for that dealership, and they gave me a truck. They didn't give it to me, but they let me lease it. So I had that for 2 years. And afterwards, my guy was like, "Hey man, you need to buy a car." I was like, "I don't need to do shit." And so I held on for that as long as I could. But then I had 2 kids, and I was like, "All right, man, let me be an adult." So I bought a car, and it was I wanted something dependable and nice, and so I did. I bought a Range Rover. It was like 80 grand.
Oh, you wanted dependable, so you went Range Rover.
So well.
But it's the funny thing though. It wasn't
really dependable.
So I got a G-Wagon. Got kids in the back, you know.
This is true though. So it's like I wanted something that I didn't have to like go buy. Like I wanted something I'd have to buy like or fix in the long run. So like I still have the same car today, right? It was in 2012. I've had a car for it really is though. It has been great. I haven't done a lot to it. It's good on because you need a this is a corny, but like you need a car with good shocks in Houston because of the potholes here are crazy because it rains so much, and so you need something with good shocks. So I didn't want something I had to keep bringing
you live
in.
Houston.